giving you a taster. I've done hundreds of hours of research into this topic. If you want to know more, check out my YouTube channel. I'm double LMC and the show is called Rise Above. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, family. It's Rise Above.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above, abstract.
Let's know how we're sounding. It's Wednesday night. It's midweek Rise Above. That means there's no Friday night show this week, so I thought I'd treat you with a midweek special. It's going to be myself and the one they call Master Lee. Salutations in the Guardians.
Salutations and solutions.
And solutions, yeah, most importantly solutions.
Yeah, I saw something in the comments about solutions. So.
Yeah, we definitely want solutions. You are still live with us, even though I'm not showing your little ditty on the screen there, because I just want to keep the stream looking pretty. So, yeah, it's Wednesday night. Who have we got tuned in already? 128 people. That's not bad for a Wednesday. Let us know how we're sounding. Have we got the levels right? Can you hear myself and Inner Guardian? Say hello again, Lee.
Salutations and solutions.
Okay, I think we're sounding good.
And just a big shout out to anybody from Stand in the Park who I bumped into on Sunday morning. I plugged the show, but I did say Friday at 9 p.m. So.
Well, if they tune in on Friday, they can obviously watch some playbacks. We will be back next Friday. And next Friday is actually going to be our last show, our last proper Friday night show of 2021, because the following week I'm away. And I'm not back until January the 15th, guys. So we're actually going to have like a 5-week break. I'm really sorry about this. The good news is I'm going to be on an epic adventure in Mexico. And I'm going to be making videos. We're going to be visiting temples and stuff like that. Hope to go and see the Toad Shaman and meet the creator. Hopefully I'm going to be able to do that. It's going to be a journey, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, in the Guardian, since... what show did we have on Friday? I thought... Customer services, right?
Yeah.
Quite a lot has happened since Friday, would you say?
Yep, the Infinite Content Creator's been very active, doing overtime.
Yeah.
Just before we go on to that, I just want to say, on a positive note, the Stand in the Park guys on Sunday morning, they were not in the park, they're actually on one of the main roads next to the shopping.
Is that with they stand with the yellow signs, right?
Yeah, and you're meant to bib your hooter in your car if you support what they're doing. And I kid you not, it was literally, I would say 2 out of 3 cars were bibbing their hooters.
Wow.
Yeah, massive difference.
Yeah, I've got a friend and a customer at the yard, Greg, who was attending a similar event with the yellow card stand. I think it was in the park as well, in Bournemouth on Saturday, the day after the show, when I was on my way up to Bristol. And yeah, I saw the photo. I think those are very effective. I think they're much more effective than just random marches. I must be honest there.
Yeah, from what I saw, this is actually the first one that I actually drove past it. I bid my hooter, and then I had to go to the shop, and I pulled over, and when I had a chat with them, I think as well, because since the new variant has been released,
we'll be talking about that tonight.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a, could we say, tipping point? I
certainly think so. I mean, maybe we're just
ahead
of the
game.
Tipping
point.
Yeah, we were talking about the tipping point ages ago. I've just got to address this question from Paul Newsham. Am I having the nose jab to go to Mexico? No, I'm not. The reason I chose Mexico is because the only rules that they follow on entry is when you land in Mexico, if you feel sick, go and see a doctor. Now, that's the kind of approach to the Soviet Union that I can get down with. So, no, I won't be doing a nose jab. Apparently, when I get back, I've got to do some test on day 2 and day 8. If I do it at all, I will obviously be pretending to do it, waving the swab around and putting it in. If I can get away with not doing anything without, having unnecessary bullshit come to my front door, yeah. But I'm obviously going to do my best to not comply with anything. Apparently, you do have to wear a mask in Mexico even outside in the tourist areas. The good news is I don't go to tourist areas. And the other good news is, whenever I rock up somewhere, the first thing I do is generally bribe the police on arrival. It's the way to go. Same as when you go to a hotel, you find the security guard, you slip him 50. Like, listen, I'm here to have a good time. Let's work together. That type of arrangement. No, that works for me.
You need to get your T-shirt done in Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by the way, Everting exempt T-shirts, they've just come back into fashion as of yesterday, right? Is that correct? Have we got to say we're exempt again now since yesterday, or do we just say no? And I think just saying no is better.
Well, just say no.
Yeah.
We
At
need
the
to get,
supermarket for a mask anyway.
like, was it Wham had those T-shirts? Was it Wham had those T-shirts?
I don't know what T-shirts Wham had, Master
Just
Lee.
say no.
Just say no. Okay, so let's
I'm
get
a
on
bit
with
older than you.
let's get on with this week's business. So sometimes all a person needs is just one piece. And for a lot of people sat at the table here tonight and, you know, every other week we're on, that one piece is something that we present on the table here. It might be something that I talk about, Andy PG. It might be something Master Lee brings to the table. But this is why we're here. This is why we do Rise Above. I'm not here to teach anyone anything. I'm learning myself. I'm sat at this table learning too. So this is a brilliant meme to start us off this week from Magic's Iso Memetica. Remember to get him on Telegram. Rise Above hoodies are flying at the door. High quality, 100% organic hoodies, £45 including postage. Someone complained about this price. If anyone's complained about this price, when was the last time you checked the price of anything? And secondly, this includes first class postage signed for straight to your door immediately. These are not cheap, crappy hoodies. They are high quality. And they're £45 including postage and packing. riseabovelivestream@gmail.com. Right now you order them from PayPal. I've got to tell everybody now, this is very exciting. The website is going to have all of the designs on this Friday. We are going live. Check out these. Have you seen the Inner Guardians designs here on the top left? I showed you earlier on, Lee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a nice little occulted triangle in there. We've got the Rab Fermet design. We've got different
Can you
remixes
expand
of
that
the
at all?
original. There, let me make it bigger. There we go. We've got Reject the Soviet Union. We've got Virus Man's The Greta Reset, the first of his memes, which are going to be immortalised on T-shirts. Whole Rabbit. We have the special Inner Guardians digital sun design. There's more as well coming, guys. All these T-shirts are available in black, white, khaki, and they're going to be available in red. £25 plus postage and packing.
Can you imagine, like, in 100 years' time, these are going to be viewed in a museum, in an organic museum?
These would be like relics of the last organic resistance. What did the organic resistors wear? They wore these, son. Rise Above T-shirts. Immortalised forever. So you can order the Rabbit T-shirts today. We've got those on the print and everything exempt. £25 plus postage. Postage is actually only £2. Everything exempt here. Big up Becky S, rocking the T-shirt. And everyone else that's tuned in that has bought T-shirts and hoodies. It helps us a great deal. This is a non-profit organisation, Rise Above. But I'll be honest, we do make profit off these T-shirts and hoodies. This is what keeps us going. This is what pays for all the stuff you see around you, all the equipment and the lights. A big thank you.
There's no adverts.
Yeah, there's no adverts. We don't even have any sponsorship. Like, I'm not even plugging anything apart from, you know, our own merch. Thank you very much to Daisy Roots and to Millie Cole, who provided all of the Rise Above team, or most of us anyway, with this essential, we call it the David Icke oil. It's because it gets rid of the David Icke protein or the spike protein. It's a detox oil. I've seen it work.
Can you go a bit more into the science behind this? I've been asked. I didn't know what to say. So
okay, basically, I have an article which has the breakdown of what is in this. It is a group of essential oils. I believe that the main active ingredient is pine needle extracts, right? Yeah. And don't ask me why these particular extracts and oils are particularly good for detoxing the spike protein, but all throughout the holistic world, the health food world, this is the recipe, and we've got it. You know, no one's making money off this. Daisy's sending this to me for free. If anybody wants it, you can email me, and I'll put you in touch with Daisy, and she will send it out for a cost fee or whatever. You know, we're not here to make money on snake oil, and this isn't snake oil.
Asymmetrical defense.
Yeah, it is asymmetrical defense. For anyone that's interested in it, read up pine needle extract, spike protein detox. There's lots of Yeah, there's lots of articles on, even on Google about it.
Gareth, I think it's Gareth Hughes has asked me a question. Can you remind me of that question as we go further on? Because
What is the question?
how do I see this panning out on the timeline?
Okay, let me write that down on the new tablet. I've got a nice new tablet here. I'm going to be selling the old tablet to anyone that wants a piece of Rise Above memorabilia. I made all the early videos on it. Say that again. So how do we see this playing out on the timeline, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, it's just powering up.
Because that'll tie in
Okay.
nicely with some of the things I'm going to talk about.
Absolutely. Right, let's get down to business.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. So
Nightmares.
nightmare business. I said from this photo, what did I come up with this one? I said, Steve Coogan obviously forgot to read the small print when he signed that contract with the cult. Now, yeah, that's a cool comment, quite funny, got a few laughs. But then I thought to myself, right, how do we know that this, to us, playing Steve Coogan is terrible, But if you're a member of the cult, you might have a completely different view of Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
This might be a great honour in the Guardians.
I think he's going to get a medal. Of sorts.
He's running for some sort of medal here in some sort of marathon, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But what was I saying to you a minute ago on the private chat? Has anyone, the other week, I came up with 28 photos that were taken in the filming of this The Reckoning. Jimmy Savile, The Reckoning. Here's some more photos. It's like every day more photos come out. When was
Yeah,
the
they
last
don't normally
time?
publicise the pre-making of television programs, do they?
Hey, a BBC docudrama as well. This isn't like the latest Netflix thing. This isn't The Sopranos. This isn't Stranger Things. It's quite strange. But, a BBC docudrama. Big build-up, big hype, big
Yeah.
ritual from where I'm
Do you think he
sitting.
actually looks like Jimmy Savile?
No.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I was thinking. It's
Everyone just says
kind
he
of-
looks like Jimmy. He looks like Alan Partridge dressed up as Steptoe. Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
our
that's
viewership
right,
is
actually.
old enough to know Steptoe. I mean, I'm only just old enough to know who Steptoe and Son was. Anyone younger than me probably wouldn't even know who that is. Okay, yeah. So Savile. Oh, here's a good one. This is made by Issei Mimetica. So this is to mark, the the restrictions about masks that came back in. This is actually an interactive meme. If I press this button, does this? Do you hate oxygen? Do you love asphyxiation? We have just the cult for you. Join the Mask Wankers now. Sponsored by Serco, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the World Economic Forum. Obviously, a GIF. I wouldn't have to keep pressing play. This is quite labour intensive. This meme, but it's a good one. Oh dear. What percentage are you seeing of people walking around with face nappies on?
just before we I say the answer to that, you can tell which arm is taking the spear in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He has to. The withered arm. It's not the massive arm. He hasn't been taking anabole in that arm.
Apparently, they do ask you which hand you use the most before they do before you get the Spears ticket, Britney Spears ticket.
Is this your spearing arm, sir? What? Wait a minute. While we're on the subject of the actual physical act of spearing, right? Have you heard this narrative going around about? Is it called? The word starts with A. It's something you do to the needle, where you put it in and you make sure blood doesn't come back out to make sure you're not hitting an artery. Attentuing the needle or something. Now, someone in the comment section will know this word. It's a medical term. It's what you do with the needle to make sure you're not hitting a blood vessel. Now, obviously, with mRNA technology, you don't want to hit a blood vessel to go around the body. The idea is it stays into the muscle, right? Well,
Yeah, I don't know the word.
Aspiration, that's it.
but-
Aspirate.
Yeah, I don't know the word, but I did listen to I think it was a doctor, virologist, medical specialist of some sort, and he was saying that this potentially could account for why some people get ill and some people don't, is because it's not meant to go into the vein or arteries, it's meant to go into the muscle.
Yeah, so if it goes into the
Intramuscular.
artery, that David Icke protein is flowing all around your body. It goes into your lungs, your heart. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually take Bill Gates to work out what's going on, does it?
Yeah, and it's meant to be placed in horizontally. If it slightly goes off of that, because there's obviously methods and techniques of doing it, but the people that administering it are not particularly trained, and they're just
Well,
jabbering away.
most of them are amateurs who have literally just been rounded up and offered some ludicrous hourly wage, and maybe like a couple of days of intensive training have had to spear people. But
And a high-vis tabard.
yeah, well, yeah, a clipboard, a high-vis tabard, and you're basically Health Chancellor Gates' top minion. What more do you need? Yeah, so we have a new entry into the meme squad. I think he calls himself Exoline, this guy. I know him as something else. Let me have a look at this one. So we're on the subject of Omicron in a little minute. The city of Omicron, the year is 2033. There's some sort of dome and a crater. I like this already. A variant factory and the Matrix are pumping things in. You've got Lord Schwab as the sun saying, I am the Greta Reset, and then Greta as the moon harvesting everyone's essence. And then you've just got your regular little Schwabery of, peasants down here. Savage Jab Head, Potato Head, and Health Chancellor Gates. What does it say there? 33rd booster coming up. I love Peppa Pig. This is a great first effort. Welcome to the team, Exoline. So yeah, we're 6 strong in the meme squad now. He says he hasn't made memes for ages, so I'll be looking forward to what he's got to come up with in the future. Welcome to Rise Above. It's Wednesday night.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above, abstract.
Hang tight, everyone tuned in. What's up next? We were talking about Antarctica the other week, weren't we, in the Guardians? And we were talking about the different areas of Antarctica and how they're named after some rather questionable characters. New Schwabenland. I don't know if it's New Schwabenland. Yeah, it is New Schwabenland. It's not New Schwabia. Rockefeller Plateau and Rothschild Island. And it's like here, Science Direct, parasites of cold climates, a danger or in danger. Hopefully they're in danger. Yeah, big up Future Ghost, one of the meme team. Like that one. I think it's really cool how we can say something on a show one night and then a few days later these memes just appear. That's got to be some sort of magic, hasn't it, in the Guardian, surely?
Yeah, meme magic.
Memetic sorcery. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of memes, not so much a meme, but an amazing piece of artwork. This is sent to me by Dom from Sheep Farm. I believe Chris actually drew it. He does the caricatures. Can you guess what it is yet, mate? Can anyone guess who it is? Yeah, you've guessed it. It's Savage Jabhead. Or Savage.
Is that a crater reflecting off of his moon head?
It's sort of,
We need to send that to Wim.
Yeah,
See
we
if we
do
can
need
do
to
something
send
with
this to Wim. Oh yeah, big up Wim if you're watching. Hang tight, Godvag, and all the Vagian crew that have come over from that channel onto this one. We love sharing our audience with like-minded creators all over the crater. Let's get the chat overlay back.
It was this image that reminded me of the character in the is it the Addams Family? I
Yes.
can't remember his name. He does look like him, doesn't he?
Pugsley. Is it Pugsley? Are you talking
don't
about
know.
the little? No, you're talking about Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester.
He's the little bold one that looks like Uncle Fester's the little was played by yeah, that's the one you're thinking of, Uncle Fester. But the Addams Family picture is quite good because the tall one looks a bit like Rishi Sunak. Morticia would be Priti Patel. The little fat kid would blatantly be Boris Johnson. This guy, Uncle Fester, definitely got to do an Addams Family.
And then you got Matt Hancock. Which one was he?
Oh, Matt Hancock was the husband. He was like the main dude because he was stood in the middle, like smiling with a big cheesy smile.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Absolute psychopath. Okay, yeah. So the Sheep Farm don't just make great podcasts; they're actually pretty cool artists as well. Oh dear. So
No words.
No words are needed for this one. Anyway, it's officially coinciditis. The top Soviet cardiologist claimed definitely coincidence. But also too much weed smoking and climate change and white supremacy is causing all these heart attacks. That's for damn sure.
And Brexit.
Oh, and Brexit, yeah, of course. The Brexit blockade is causing it. Well, the Brexit blockade is causing something. This box of 100 T-shirts still hasn't turned up, so that's why I had to overhaul the website and just get everything, done to order. So big up everyone that's going to be purchasing T-shirts. They will all be available for Christmas. Ordering from Friday on the website www.riseabove.news.
Somebody in the comments said that.
Yes?
Somebody said in the comments that there was 2 heart attacks tonight at the soccer.
Yeah, there's been 2 heart attacks or 2. Well, listen, we don't know if it's heart attacks.
Anybody
Medical
verify that?
emergencies. I got this as a Facebook message very shortly. People bombard me with stuff like
Just
literally
Premiership.
before. Yeah, 2 different Premiership games. Let's have a look. I believe one of them was Watford. It should be in my inbox. People just send me all of this coinciditis all day. My inbox is just like an Uzi 9mm. The internet's really slow as well. Really rubbish. That's what happened last week when we had the outage. Oh, here we go. Yeah, just today. Second half of Southampton versus Leicester. They stopped the game due to medical emergency in the stands. Let me share this over here. Okay. So where was this? A Southampton fan was conscious and led away from the crowd following a medical emergency. Watford versus Chelsea suspended due to medical emergency in the crowd. 13 minutes into the game, player alerted referee David Croot to a medical It's just a medical emergency. Oh yeah, look at this. Scotland international rugby player Siobhan Catigan has died suddenly. Mystery illness, 26. Oh, that's Rise Above link. Yeah, so more coinciditis again. I mean, what do I need to say about that? We called it already.
So it's not just the players.
No, because if you think about it, when you go to one of those games, it's not like the players. Everyone there is going to be mostly Britneyed as well, aren't they? Because it's much easier to be Britney than to do a PCR test as you're trying to get into a football game. You know, if you don't really care about anything, if you just want to go to the footy.
Would it be a coincidence with it being in a stadium, and bearing in mind that we recognise stadiums as being portals or arenas for certain things?
Well,
of the dark occult nature.
Well, what were you saying the other week as well? It's like, you know, this sacrifice and energy harvesting has been going on for thousands of years. All that they've been doing is constantly updating the methods and the efficiency. And like, you know, when the butcher cuts off the finest cuts, he doesn't want to throw the other bits away. So if you were harvesting loads of people's energy from a massive bread and circuses event, and you could also harvest people's actual souls at the same time, why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Yeah. If you've just tuned into Rise Above, yes, that's what we're talking about. This is Rise Above. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I've got a feeling that this is not going to go away. This isn't going to fizzle out. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah, imagine being a soccer player, like in the dressing room before the game. You'd be all looking at each other thinking, who's next?
Well, yeah, funny you should say that. Oh, right, it's the next slide anyway. I was just going to see if I could get the right slide. Check this out. This is an emerging story. Bizarre managerial change at Werder Bremen as Afghan resigns amid fake COVID-19 Britney Spears ticket allegations. What does that mean? Fake Britney Spears tickets? How does that happen? Well, apparently, according to the Daily Mail, celebrities use fake COVID Britney tickets added to their NHS app at £750 a pop to look like they've had 2 attendances to the concert when they actually haven't. Then they can appear on E4 and MTV shows. I know for a fact this is true. I would never do this, and I haven't done it, but I know people that have. I know for a fact that this is 100% true. The price is even accurate as well. Yeah. So I reckon there are a lot of footballers that have done this, probably, and they're probably sat around thinking, Jesus, I'm really pleased that I paid what I normally pay for a haircut for that fake Britney ticket.
$750 well spent.
Yeah. Even if it is $750 a year or every 3 months. I mean, it's not something that I would ever capitulate to. Maybe if a gun was to my head, I'd like to think I would take the bullet, but, you know, I'll wait until a gun is pointed to my head until I call that one.
Yeah. That price is probably going to go up, though, for soccer players.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would be very, very surprised if soccer players were paying this peasant price of £7.50. All I know is that some people sat in an NHS data office somewhere are absolutely laughing to the bank, all the way to the bank, and all of the different banks that they have to attend to put this money somewhere. Because they're obviously making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, so let's talk variants. For 2 years, I've followed the rules. I recovered twice from asymptomatic COVID. I'm a survivor. I've tested positive, even though I've had both Britney tickets and I've been to see the boosters. I hand sanitize, I social distance, and I've spent a whole month self-isolating. And I mask religiously. How dare conspiracy theorists call me a television brainwashed Rona spastic? So COVID is real. I've seen the CGI graphics and I've done my BBC research. And now, because they won't act sick and get with the programme, the variant Omicron has emerged. Omicron. This got brought to our attention on Friday by Sanchez. He called in. We hadn't even heard of it. It got dropped just before Rise Above started.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about this Omicron, hasn't there?
Yeah, nothing but this on Facebook, at least.
Do you think this could be the hair that breaks the peasant's back?
Optimistically speaking, yes, but there are still people not doubling down but tripling down.
Mm.
But there's less. I've had some good news actually. Some of my family have decided it's not quite what they thought it was.
That's
I
good.
literally got a text message just before the show.
I'm really pleased to hear that. I've told you as well that I've been... Go on.
And I think and I think it was based on that all the propaganda, mainstream media stuff has gone way OTT with regards to the occulted stuff. And I think it's based on these, if you put the Delta and Omicron together,
Yes.
it gives you...
I was just going to come to that.
what was
so
it?
don't
It gives
ruin
you
it.
media control.
Yeah, you get media
sorry.
control. That's
Sorry.
right. Right. So, what is Omicron? Omicron. Right. Well, the first thing is it actually translates immediately as 0 micron. What's a micron? A micron is the smallest measurement you can get of anything. Right. It's used in pharmacology. It's used in paint. So paint microns of paint. So 0 microns literally means nothing. Sanchez pointed that out. So that's a good one to start off with. Obviously, there is a nanotechnology company called Omicron. Obviously, that's going to be the case, Omicron B, because the number of Omicron starts with a B, B152, whatever it is, right? Well, Omicron B is also an anagram of no crimbo. I thought that was the funniest one.
Yeah.
Another anagram of it is oncomere, or oncomer. Now, an oncomer is a microRNA, myRNA, that is associated with cancer. MicroRNAs are short RNA molecules. So what coincidence? It's also the name of something to do with mRNA or RNA. Yeah, this is mRNA stuff. So we've got something to do with nanotechnology. We've got an anagram to do with mRNA technology. We've got an anagram that says no crimbo. And what was the other one? Here we go. Delta and Omicron, as in The Guardian said, makes media control.
Yeah.
What is going on here? What? I mean, this is obviously semi-rhetorical for people that have been tuning in for a while, but for new viewers, yeah, we need to answer this question, or at least attempt to. What's going on here?
Yeah. Well, I've definitely noticed, even on my Facebook feed and friends list and so on and so forth, that even some of my hardcore friends who are pro-COVID are actually now doubting and actually sharing this stuff.
Well, I've one of my most vocal proponents or critics, codenamed Des Fellows. Des has come to me, and now it's because of the coincidences in football. So that was his penny drop or his breaking point. He goes, look, I'm not afraid to say I was wrong on this. He goes, I don't agree with everything you say, but now he said that he started, sticking up for the anti-COVID cause with his family members that are pro-jabbing kids. So that's 180 degrees. I said, mate, massive respect. I said, listen, admitting you were wrong is hard. I know, I'm wrong all the time. You know, not about certain things. I tend to be super right about certain things that I want to be wrong about. Praise Ronald McDonald. But yeah, we need to be quite mindful of this, I think, because this is going to be going on a lot. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to hop over the fence now. Hang tight, sheep farm, tuned in. Mass formation hypnosis, says the man from the sheep pen. I think that's good. Mass formation hypnosis.
Yeah. Is that Dom or Chris?
I'm going to guess that it's Dom on that account, I think. It could be Chris, I don't know. Sheep, is that Dom or Chris? But he says here, we don't want to be right, Lance, do we? No, we don't want to be right. I want to be Ronald McDonald with a big sack of hamburgers and rabbit McMuffins, but it doesn't seem to happen. Irish Londoner says, Omicron, the game with David Bowie. Yeah, here it is. Where is it? Right. I haven't fully watched this video yet. I started watching it. I recommend everyone watches it. I've seen David Bowie speaking from beyond the grave. It's weird. He's talking about Omicron being some sort of computer virus that's come to end humanity and lock them in a cybernetic prison. I don't know what's going on here. Have you got any ideas, Inner Guardians?
Well, the video in question, I did watch it, and it basically condenses pretty much everything that we've been talking about this year. Literally everything, all in one.
I watched the first half of it, and basically what I'll say is it gives an amazing insight and real context in this one example here with this Omicron thing of how what is going on is super occulted.
Yeah.
And we are now at a stage where this is not hidden in plain sight anymore. It's in plain sight, showing itself. So I really feel like we've crossed the Rubicon now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I recommend people get this guy on YouTube, Thoughts on Thinking. I instantly subscribed after 30 seconds of this video. English guy as well, from the UK, which is nice.
What is the greatest apocalypse ever? So we've already broken down the word apocalypse.
Yes.
It's revealing, yeah. Now, I think what the revelation is that everything is actually occulted.
Hmm.
Now,
We're
most
actually
people
in a mystical realm.
Yeah. Now, if you say the occult to people, they generally think it's just private mystery schools and esoteric groups and Freemasons and stuff, and OTO and Aleister Crowley and stuff like that. When in reality, it is literally everything, especially when it comes into the realms of control and power, government, media, art, music, fashion. I mean, people don't realize, the fashions that come out season by season is all based on the occult.
What are you talking? Are you talking like high fashion? That weird stuff we see on the catwalk. Are you actually talking fashion that seeps down into like the seasonal colours that you see in River Island? You know,
Yeah.
like I remember what
all fashion.
All fashion.
Yeah, all fashion will come from the occult. All of these logos are sigils, and I mean, I don't want to say too much now because it's something I wanted to speak about probably in the second half.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It's like the question is, who is creating your reality? That has to be the question that everybody asks themselves. Now, if you're not creating it, who is? And somebody else or another agent or party is creating your reality. How are they doing it? What is the method? Well, this is the revelation of the method. It's full spectrum.
So I'm just backtracking a minute here. I've just been sent this by someone on Messenger. The name of the computer game from David Bowie was The Nomad Soul.
Yeah.
Developed by a company called Quantic Dream. Released in 1999 and Dreamcast on the Dreamcast in 2000. Gonna have to check that out. Apparently it's available on Steam. This game's actually really good, I've heard.
Well, remember I said a while back that a lot of modern, I call them quantum gnostics or quantum mystics, they use gaming and that type of thing as good analogies for the intangible, the metaphysical, the invisible. It's a way of conceptualizing certain things. So, like interactions on the astral plane are not how they would be on this 3D plane. So I've mentioned it before, that if you have a conversation with somebody on the astral plane, you already know the answer before they ask the question. So conversations don't really take place in time, on a timeline. The same way you can see the back of somebody at the same time as you see the front of them, and the top and the bottom. And this is what they try to replicate on some of these video games as well. So it's almost like holographic, so you can see through them.
Mm.
That's what
Did
that
you like that
symbolizes.
thing I sent you earlier on, Xavier Renegade Angel? That animation rendered like a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
didn't have time to examine it, but it's definitely, yeah.
we're going to be looking into that in more detail in this show. Next year, I've got so many ideas for shows. I want to do one that's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be like, we'll call it Hidden in Plain Sight or something like that. And I want everyone to bring their own like favourite bits from the media, movie, series, where there's that 30 seconds or 5 minutes where they literally drop it. You know, whether it's heavily occulted or you know, because I've got some great examples of that are not so well known maybe. So I definitely like to do an episode of that next year when we bring clips of movies, TV, but we'll probably have to do Alan Partridge at the same time, I reckon.
Yeah, well, it's like that video I sent you of David Bowie. Well, it's not David Bowie. Apparently.
That is so weird. Do you know what that's... Go on, sorry.
Yeah, and the first thing that he says is that when David Bowie died, it felt like a part of me died. Now, that's a good example of hiding things in plain sight.
Yeah, so just to give some context, you're talking about the video where the guy that comes on to talk about David Bowie's death is apparently his mate. It looks like David Bowie. It sounds like him. And he's talking about David Bowie. Do you know what it reminds me of? After Michael Jackson died, they had that guy called Dave on talking about his death, who was apparently friends with Michael Jackson with terrible burns, literally terrible burns. You couldn't tell who it was. And he sounded and acted exactly like Michael Jackson. He was talking about his best friend who died. I thought that's a template repeating there.
Yeah. It's quite common. I mean, I've not done it, but you could probably search on YouTube and get footage of celebrities that have passed away, and it seems to be a pattern that the next day they'll always invite somebody on, or a guest, to speak about that person, when in actual fact it's them, or it could be them.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. It will sound very weird to anyone that hasn't seen any examples of this, but I've seen it twice, the one we're talking about here and with Michael Jackson. And it's super weird. But, you know, if you're a high-level occultist, and to you, death is merely a game or a transition, and you know, you wanted to fake your death, and you love mockery, that's the first thing you do. You turn up at your own funeral.
Yeah, well, I mentioned in the private chat that in certain occult or esoteric groups, there is a practice of where you alter and change your appearance, either physically or energetically. So, as an example, those who are high level, and it's kind of a bit of training, you will experiment almost walking into a room or walking down the street, and people can't recognize you. And it's linked to when I talk about how to be invisible. It's linked to that. So it's almost a type of shape shifting. Like I say, it can either be physically, it can be energetically, and it can also incorporate hypnosis.
Okay.
So people don't know who you are.
Wow. I used to enjoy doing something a little bit like this when I took a little bit break from emceeing in clubs, and then I went back and did it again. I started turning up in clubs, and I changed my look. I'd stopped dressing like a rapper, dressed a little bit more smartly, and I started wearing my glasses. And like the only real difference was slightly different clothes and glasses. And maybe I was acting, but people literally didn't recognise me until I had a mic in my hand, and then they heard me. And I found it so strange. It's like, well, maybe Clark Kent really could just put some glasses on and pretend he wasn't Superman. Is it that easy to fool people? But maybe it's something you project as well. Very interesting.
Yeah, and also it's a way of exposing that people are generally, we call it wide asleep. So even though people are awake and they're going about their business, they're actually in a deep state of sleep.
Dom from Sheep Farmers actually just sent me the interview of this guy talking about David Bowie. So I'm not going to play the sound because it makes it like echo. But I'm just going to blow the screen up. Sorry to backtrack, but this is Rise Above. This is the interview we're talking about. This is after David Bowie has died. And apparently this guy, the day after, this guy is not David Bowie. It's not his brother or his relative. Check it out. If you could hear his voice basically sounds like David Bowie. To me, that is David Bowie. Very, very weird. So yeah, we were talking about the same thing that you sent, Dom.
Yeah, the whole interview, he's talking about how David Bowie had the ability to change his appearance.
And he was the only true artist. That's what he said. He was the first and only like complete artist, which I found.
Well, remember I said about method acting. That actually the origins of method acting came from the occult. Now, all of these great teachers of the occult, historically, there's lots of accounts of them, and I've gone through quite a few of them, where they were able to, I don't like to use the word shapeshift because it kind of gives a weird connotation, but they were able to disguise themselves. Now, the other thing you have to factor in is that a lot of these occultists, they went through revolutions, wars, communism, so on and so forth. And there was lots of times and opportunities where they actually had to use that for practical terms. You've seen in Star Wars where they use hypnosis.
Yeah.
It can be almost like that, where you have to get through a checkpoint and you click your fingers or whatever, or do something or other, and you can just walk straight through.
The Jedi mind trick.
Yeah. Now,
you can do that.
this is actually doable. I mean, I've done it. To a degree, everybody does it. Everybody's done it to a degree or another. Even if it's just to get into a nightclub or something.
Yeah.
The art of distraction or the like.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I used to be, when I was doing clubs every weekend and you've got people shouting at you all the time, you can sort of get caught up in the arrogance and everything. I would rock up at a club that I'd never been to, that I'm not booked at, and just go up to the bouncers. Yeah, all right, gents, I'm this blah, blah, blah. And I would be telling the truth, but they didn't know me, had never heard of me. Because of the way you carry yourself and the way you act and using a little bit of NLP, I could walk into anywhere for free. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm just here down for the weekend. I'll finish the show down there. Let me check this place out. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. And Jedi mind trick. Maybe doing it on bouncers in clubs isn't the high level Jedi mind tricks, but nevertheless, still the same principle.
Yeah. Well, with regards to celebrities, I mean, everybody's familiar with that celebrities will disguise themselves. This is another. This is actually occulted. So for celebrity protection, they will use disguises, which could mean a baseball cap pulled down and sunglasses, right through to having a body double. Now, I've actually worked in celebrity protection, and a lot of these techniques are used where there's doubles, where there's double bookings, everything is doubled. You use
decoy entourages.
Yep.
Decoy press shots, decoy cars, all of it.
Decoy paparazzi. Also misinformation given out, so the paparazzi are tipped off that they're going to be at that restaurant at this time, when in actual fact they're going to be at another restaurant at another time, at the same time.
Have you ever done any A-list names or anyone that people have heard of? Can you divulge or not?
No.
Didn't think so. Always worth a try, Master Lee.
The power of no.
The power of no. Very powerful. Can I finish off some points on Omicron before we move on to anything else?
Sure.
Yeah, because everyone's posting about it. I just want to make sure that we've covered all bases, right? So, who knew about this? Here is a document that shows, it's from the Wuhan Hoax Organization. It shows that basically, here are the different variants. Omicron is listed there. If you go to the bottom right, it says the first earliest documented samples, multiple countries, November 2020. Now, someone could have photoshopped this. It's very hard to tell any time now. But all of the other documents there are 2020 from Brazil. You know, we've heard things coming out from South Africa that this has actually been around for ages. It's not a new variant. It's actual just complete bullshit. And they're using this word Omicron to, cast their word spells. So that's noteworthy. We've covered all those ones there. This is definitely noteworthy. Did you know this, Inner Guardians, Master Lee, that there is exactly 666 days from the declaration of the first variant, the start of the Soviet Union, and the 26th of November 2021, when they declared Omicron. Exactly 666 days. It's been checked.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but it doesn't surprise me at all. But this is confirmation once again that
Wolfie checked it. Wolfie confirmed it.
Yeah, numbers are always used. It's a calling card.
Do you know, if you count back 666 days the other direction, from March 20th or 21st last year, 2020, do you know what you get to? The start date of CADEX in 2018, which was the precursor for Event 201, the first simulation with the airborne crown virus. Exactly 666 days before the, you could say that Event 201 went live. I think that's a pretty good way to say it. Event 201 went live.
Well, like I say, this is confirmation of the control freaks. They will use every single thing to nail everything down to get their will.
Why have they made Omicron so stupid and pathetic and laugh-worthy? Why could there be so many different anagrams that potentially give the game away?
Well, we say evil always turns stupid. So if you keep pushing evil, at some point it has to, by law, turn stupid. And this is where sort of the mockery kicks in.
I agree. It's definitely stupid that they're going this far, but I can't say that these are sloppy mistakes. This is deliberate, Yeah,
but even the denying force has to hit a corner. Think about it. Nothing is exempt from the three forces.
I guess they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Soviet hive mind had just run dry.
Yeah.
Or is it just another stage in the greatest apocalypse ever?
Well, it's probably the national IQ test part 2 or part 3, 4, 5, wherever you want to pitch it.
1.2.
But it's definitely... Well, look, if you take the cosmic perspective of this, they have to do this in order to wake people up. This is a game of developing a soul, awakening, going towards the light, whatever description you want to give it. How else could you design a game that could manifest that mechanism? This is it.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly doing that. I mean, it's just more Omicron virus or whatever this stupid variant is. Right. 2 cases of Omicron detected in UK. Hong Kong has 2 cases of Omicron. Australia has 2 cases. Germany confirms 2 cases. Denmark confirms 2 cases. Nothing to see here, just a coincidence. Everyone is on the case with doing these screenshots now. Before all this happened, I never screenshotted or saved anything. I just read things, I watched things, I listened, and then I remembered and I tried to, regurgitate it at a good time. But now, it's absolutely imperative to save stuff.
Well, the other thing, right, to factor in, and this might account for what we're witnessing, is those of the denying force, there's certain qualities that they lack. Well, there's a lot of qualities that they lack, but there's ones in particular. The first one is creativity, imagination. So this is why they always cling on to these numbers and geometric shapes and so on and so forth. And they have set patterns and set set repetitive techniques, and they're very, how do we say, like, it's almost like the algorithms or a computer system is just pumping out these stories. Now, it
Yeah.
is quite feasible that those that appear to be in control are actually not in control. Maybe some time ago, somebody pressed enter or send on a computer system, and the rest has just been put out via computer projections, which would account for the lack of creativity.
It's so weird
It's
that
just
you just said that, mate.
replicants or replicated.
Only last night I was basically thinking about the whole AI thing, right? And I was thinking, people have got all these ideas of what it's going to be, what it could be, what the worst case scenario of when they switch it on, when it finally comes about. I think the more and more this goes on, I think people have got it wrong. I think it has already been switched on. I think it's
Yeah.
running the show right now. And I
Yeah.
think what you said there is very, very poignant. There is no way that there is even a small group of human souls and minds at the central decision-making process of this now. It has to be some sort of synthetic algorithm that's pumping this out.
Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
the people that are still clinging on to their sycophantic love of their job in big pharma, in the media, in government, if they're still lying to themselves that they're going along with something that they have to carry on going along with, they're probably hanging on for dear life at this point, thinking,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Where is this coming from? It seems that this narrative is being dictated from Sage to the government, but Sage aren't pumping out the other news stories on the peripheral of the Soviet Union that's adding to sort of like the clan pantomime that is also fueling the greatest apocalypse ever. It's just like, I can honestly, I do this full time. I can barely keep up.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I come out with that term the other day, rise above the machine, because this is kind of a war between human beings and machines. And when I say machines, I'm talking about artificial intelligence and algorithms and computer systems, technology. Now, we're kind of sold, and I remember when emails first came out, they were talking about the email would usher in the 3-day working week, and that we'd have more leisure time and so on and so forth. If we hand over to technology, or if we allow technology to come into our business and personal lives, it would give us a 3-day week.
Take 3
Now,
days just to go through my junk folder in my emails. A week.
now I'm pretty sure that most people don't do a 3-day week as an average. In fact, people work 7 days a week. Some people have 2 jobs. In a relationship, both people have 2 jobs and part-time jobs, and work 7 days a week and do night shifts just to survive. Yeah. So where's this technology that we were promised would give us more leisure time? Where has it got us? Now, what this creates is a division, and you have to be very, very clear about this. So you've got technology that takes care of the mundane, of calculating, say mathematics, accounting, so on and so forth. Yeah. But what the computers or the artificial intelligence shouldn't do and can't do is invade our creativity, our imagination. Now, this is where we've been tricked, and this is where the metaverse comes in. So we got sold emails, and then we end up in the metaverse on the timeline. You can literally link a timeline between the introduction of the email right through to the metaverse, where you lose your soul for eternity, potentially. And the metaverse is meant to be for leisure, not business, yeah? But we were always promised that.
I've got to correct. I think it's sort of really been floated as for everything, hasn't it? Like you'll have your business meetings there. You'll meet your friends there. You'll speak to your family there. As far as I know,
Yeah,
it's
but
been
the
floated for
carrot,
everything.
yeah, but the carrot will be kind of like Facebook, friends, family, entertainment. If you remember Facebook came in for that, and then the business angle came on top of that with pages and groups and marketplaces and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to be able to differentiate between like public, private, business, pleasure. Now, I don't have any issues with technology taking care of business or using a calculator to do mundane tasks. But where do you draw the line from that and then technology invading your ability to think, create, have ideas, freedom of speech? And who said when the emails came out in what was it, the 90s, for most people, that at some point you won't be allowed to say certain words or even think certain things.
The idea of someone getting in trouble for what they've put on the internet 5 or 6 years ago
Yeah.
was a stupid conspiracy theory. I remember 2 years ago, just before all this, when I was starting to warn people about the Greta reset coming, before I knew about the Soviet Union, people, someone was having a go at me saying, you go too far. I said, listen, I don't even say half of what I can say because of this platform. I don't need a knock at the door. And they said, oh, there's nothing you could say on the internet that would get you a knock on the door. And I was like, are you joking? Are you joking? I mean, there's one very obvious subject that you could talk about, which 100% gets you a knock on the door and potentially taken to prison if you start questioning one historical event. That's the obvious example. There are plenty of other things, obviously now, which can get you a knock at the door. Just expressing your political beliefs. But yeah, sorry, back to the metaverse, right? Because you said it's not for business, right? But this is a good time to bring this up.
Well, no. What I meant was that, of course, it's a singularity. So
The carrot
everything-
wasn't for business.
Yeah, what I meant was that people will be sold it. I'm talking about the general public because most people don't do business. Most people have a job. For business people, obviously, they'll look at the metaverse for business opportunities, and potentially for people of that on that spectrum, they'll do very well.
Well,
Yeah.
someone's already doing well enough to spend. I think this is 134 Ethereums, which translate to $650,000. Someone spent on this super yacht that exists in the metaverse. I've walked around this super yacht virtually. It's shit. It's built on Minecraft. It looks like a 5-year-old built it. It's rubbish. So I had one of those days today where I was just channeling. I said the Gretaverse is officially for virgins and retards only. Some complete cretin just spent $650,000 on this crappy virtual super yacht. It literally doesn't even exist. It's crazy. I've seen plenty of adverts for NFTs of clothing items, hoodies, stuff for your avatar to wear in the metaverse. They're already selling like $29.99 hoodie. I went to buy one thinking it was a real hoodie. I was like, that's a sick hoodie. I'll have that. Went to buy it. It's like you can only buy it. You use crypto to buy it. So I thought, oh, okay, cool. Don't really want to spend my crypto on it, so I went a little bit further. It's like, yeah, this is an NFT, and I was like, what? It's digital. It's a digital hoodie.
Don't they already do that with? Don't they already do that with video games? Like you have to buy. You can buy things on there.
Yeah, but this was an NFT, so it exists obviously outside of any video game. It's not like a skin for your gun or a new vehicle for whatever game you're playing. This was something that you own digitally. Do you know what an NFT is? A non-fungible token? Yeah,
so it doesn't actually exist at all, not even digitally.
Well, no, basically it does exist digitally. Basically, it's the way. Imagine having an original painting physically, and creating 10 official prints of it, which had a serial number on, and they could be authenticated. An NFT, you can do that with a meme on the internet. So a meme that I create, if I wanted to mint it, you create an NFT, you mint it, and you create an NFT, which is a non-fungible token, and then you can sell that meme, and when someone owns it, they actually own the original. It's a piece of digital art, basically.
Yeah.
I need to get into
I remember years ago, somebody, for my birthday, somebody brought me, I think it was a star or something like that. They paid for it. I felt a bit bad about it actually because it was quite expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can buy, it's either a star or part of a star or part of a planet or something like that. Somebody's selling parts of the planet, and you get like
What,
a little
a different
number.
planet?
It was a long time ago, but I remember you get like it's almost like a bit of land, either on a star or planet, and you get like a ownership number.
Yeah, I
And
saw
I
people
thought so.
selling bits of the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who owns it to sell it? Like,
Yeah. Well, I've got a lordship title. I'm officially Lord Lance Murdoch. My missus bought it for me for a joke. You know, there's a square foot of land in Scotland somewhere that I own, and I'm the lord of it. So if you know, if I want, it's well, I suppose, you know, someone physically owns that field to sell me the deed to that 1 square foot. I guarantee if I rocked up and tried to build something there, I couldn't do it. You know,
yeah, but imagine trying to sell land on a body that no one's ever been to.
Well, they already are. People are already.
own it.
Someone spent £250,000 on an apartment in the metaverse. You know, so when you go to the metaverse, you can walk around this apartment. You know, sick. But why didn't you just learn coding and make it yourself?
Yeah, but I think that's more of a show of wealth, isn't it, for people that do that sort of thing?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever did that, I'm sure, could have employed someone to make it cheaper. But you've got to have somewhere to go when you go in the metaverse. You don't just, you know, walk around in someone else's digital dystopia, do you?
No, I mean, I've witnessed very wealthy people play a game, right? Not to win money, but to see who can lose the most money without sweating.
Oh.
So it's like you got so much money that you're bored of making money, so you lose money.
Just
and
for the feeling of it, to get a rush, because I suppose it is. I'm not a gambling man. I never have been, but I suppose it is a kind of massive rush when you lose. It's got to get something pumping, hasn't it? We'll take a break because we've hit the 1 hour mark, and for our break tonight, I've got some sick new music that's been sent in to us by GBR Project. If you remember, we've had one tune already from GBR Project before. It's got this really cool sort of like laid back, lo-fi, groovy hip hop style. Really enjoyed the first one. This one is called Shame on You. It's just loading up. Bear with us a sec. It's about 4 minutes long, so we'll take a little 3-4 minute break. And then when we return, we're going to go a lot deeper. I'm going to be handing over a little bit more to Inner Guardians, laying off the slides. And we're going to start talking a little bit more about the occult and the esoteric aspects of what's going on, and hopefully some rise above solutions to combat it as well. Sound good? Was that a good synopsis, Inner Guardians? Oh, he's dropped out. Okay, I'm going to play it. Right, see you in a couple of minutes. Rise above.
In numerous countries, thousands upon thousands of people have been protesting vaccine mandates and passports. Now it's been extended to every single worker in the country of both private and public businesses, while police have shot off water cannons and rubber bullets.
Here they come, marching in, following orders to give a beating. Tooled up, costumes on, being violent and doing wrong. No care for their fellow man, cuffed up and thrown in a van. Armored vehicles, military grade, fully equipped, taxpayer paid. Shields up, batons drawn, domination gives them the horn. Deaf to reason, crushing freedom, open season, tear gas releasing. Man, woman, young or old, they'll beat them all, if they're told. Empty hearts, empty faces, no brains in their head spaces.
Order follow, shame on you, for the soulless things you do. How is gonna catch up to you, for what you put the people through. The world is watching close. Are you sure that path you chose? Dead inside, dangerous egos, inhumane order following hoes.
High-vis Hitlers acting tough, even though ladies treated rough. Tough in numbers, weak alone. Government cuck, Stockholm syndrome. Hands up, forced on the ground. Humans choking on a tear gas cloud. Pepper spray, spraying all day. Spraying faces for a payday. patrolling streets and checking papers instead of catching thieves and rapers, demanding details and grabbing IDs, using the excuse of a weak disease. Fine collectors for government cash, stealing money from the working class. Human drones the government owns, empty souls with no backbones.
Who to follow, shame on you for the soulless things you do. Karma's gonna catch up to you for what you put the people through. The world is watching close. Are you sure that path you chose? Dead inside, dangerous egos, inhumane or the following hoes.
People are not only targeted with water cannons and rubber bullets, but their police are actually beating them with batons, and they're being met with other violence.
Bullies with badges, sneaky tactics, total control over the masses. Empathy lacking, freedom attacking, heads cracking from baton whacking. Illegal arrests with excessive force, inflicting pain with no remorse. Rolling in gangs, drunk with power, modern Gestapo, paid by the hour. Flashing lights, sirens blasting, free people and tyranny clashing. Blind to the consequence of their actions, they'll be sorry if it finally happens. If the parasites take control, no thanks for playing your role. Maybe then you'll understand that you gave pure evil a helping hand.
Who to follow, shame on you for the soulless things you do. Karma's gonna catch up to you for what you put the people through. The world is watching close. Are you sure that path you chose? Dead inside, dangerous egos, inhumane or the following hoes.
Police are actually beating them with batons. Police have shot off water cannons and rubber bullets.
Yeah, we're back. What do you think of that, guys? I think that was particularly cool. Rise above.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
Did you get booted right at the last minute there in the Guardians?
Yeah, got booted.
Yeah, I was talking to myself there. Did you hear the tune?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what his style of vocals reminds me of? It's like a cross between Mike Skinner, The Streets, and the vocalist out of, what's the guy called out of Pet Shop Boys? And don't take that the wrong way. I think Pet Shop Boys are really actually very talented. But the style of vocal, like the laid back, sort of like half speaking, yeah, it sounds like a cross between Streets and
Kind of old school.
yeah, it's really nice. I like it. Like the lo-fi sound. The lyrics are really good as well. It's even better than his last tune. Yeah, big up Milsky Van Helsing. He's saying bars. Robert Wilson says good tune. Lee Gould, he likes it as well. Yeah, everyone was loving that. Big up all the 80s and 90s ravers. Yeah, if you like the 80s and 90s rave sound, you'll love that. I think that's a resounding positive thumbs up from the Rise Above family GBR projects. Make sure you send through all the new tunes, please. So, where were we? I might have a couple of quick stories to finish off. Now the metaverse. Right, so yeah, this is a bit of an unfortunate one. In Germany, Britney and Britney are separated by fences in supermarkets. It's like, you know, at least in the Soviet Union, they built a massive concrete wall. The Soviet Union just puts up a crappy makeshift like wire fence. You know, you can still hold hands through it. Completely pointless.
It's not even perspex.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even perspex. It's not even like sheet plastic or nothing. That is ludicrous. That is a real insult, isn't it? Well, look at that. You can still hold hands. So in the Soviet Union, Yeah, in the Soviet Union, they had the Iron Curtain. In the Soviet Union, they have the Viral Curtain. And this is what it looks like. Absolutely retarded.
Looks like a bit of
Um,
cheap Aris fencing.
Yeah. It looks like the fencing at the Travis Scott concert for the Soul Crushing was more substantial than that. Oh, that's a bad joke. R.I.P. to everyone that died. Right, let's talk solutions. Because let's not just complain about the Soviet Union all night. Let's talk about how we can rise above it. Here's a good one. I really like this idea. If everyone can see this on the screen. As we know, everything is soon to be governed by a QR code. If we get Austria or whatever other country, Slovenia, that are basically forcing everyone to use a QR code to gain entry, Australia as well, this is how you can stop it. Because guess what? All it takes is a black marker pen to beat a QR code. You just got to put a few, I recommend at least 3 strategic black blobs to completely render a QR code useless. So everyone who watches Rise Above must carry a black marker pen on their person at all times, or expect a fine of 500 crypto shekels and 2 weeks detention in the Gretaverse. I've got my black marker pen on me. I expect everyone else to have it too. That's a simple solution. What do you think of that?
So we're talking like when
Well, every
you
time
see
you go to in the supermarket or something like that.
yeah.
If everyone, just every time you're at the till, or when if there's at the moment, it manifests as a track and trace on the door of places. So only at the moment the most compliant use it. But if you put a couple of strategic black blobs on the QR code, they will either have to come and wipe it clean or replace it because it won't work. Well,
So let's get this straight. At the moment, it's completely voluntary.
to
There's no
scan your QR
mandate
code.
about it.
Well,
So are people actually
there's no
doing it?
mandate, no.
Are people
Some
actually using it?
venues insist on it. I guess some restaurants, some people who are literally Proviets, right? They say that people have to do it. In some chain restaurants, I don't know about now, but at the back end of last year, if you went into a Weatherspoons or you attempted to, they tried to get you to do it. They wouldn't check if you actually had done it, but they say, please scan your phone here. I mean, I just said, no, I don't do that. And they just sort of huffed. I went into Weatherspoons once after a protest in Bournemouth with some other people, and they tried to get us all to do it. And I was like, you must be joking. So.
Yeah. I always recommend putting people's phone numbers down. People you don't like.
What, with a marker pen, write it on the wall?
No. Sorry. With regards to the test and trace thing, when they brought it out last year?
Okay. Yeah. But you've got to remember that going forward, the whole writing things down, that's not going to work. That's not going to do it. You've got, I mean, in my opinion, if you want to see what's going to happen or what they plan to happen, you just got to look to China, and there, the QR code rules everything.
Yeah.
Nothing happens without a QR code.
So it's like a type of civil disobedience.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a guerrilla tactic, I guess.
Yeah, guerrilla tactic.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if I was going to advise someone, I would never advise criminal damage, of course. But if you're in a supermarket and there's one of these on the door and you sort of happen to walk past and pull your marker pen out and you do a couple of dots and, someone walked up to you and says, what are you doing? So I'm just doing my bit. This is the new normal. And then just walk off. At the end of the day, it's only a few dots on a piece of perspex. Some will get wiped off, some won't. But the ones that won't will disrupt the use of it at least once. Multiply that by however many people do it. Every little helps.
Yeah. Well,
A
going
small
back to
axe
that,
chops down a big tree.
yeah, going back to that question about the timeline of how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a theory that Britain is kind of going to be one of the last countries that they're going to strangle totally.
Yeah.
So they're kind of moving the show around different countries in the world, trying different tactics and then comparing notes, because at the end of the day, it's an experiment for them. What they're also doing is different countries and different cultures have different temperaments and tolerances. So there's certain techniques and tactics that could be used in one country that would absolutely not work in another country. So I think they're just kind of fine tuning it. Now, what they can't have the head of the serpent fail. So yeah, it kind of has to be a dead cert. By the time they roll out the full Soviet Union here, they have to have fine tuned it so it can't fail. Because if it
Has
fails
to be
here,
perfected.
yeah, it has to be perfected. And if it fails here, that means the dominoes are going to fall down. Apologies for the dog.
That's all right. You've got to have your physical protection as well sometimes. So, yeah, I guess it's like you could say that other countries right now are actually beta testing the Soviet Union for us.
Yeah, and then so as an example, if they can't perfect it, then we could actually be spared because we're last. It's almost like being the last person to volunteer for something, yeah. And we can kind of learn as well by their mistakes. So I think it's very important for us to stay in contact as best we can with people on the ground in these other countries.
Yeah, totally.
Because and make notes and document and understand what is actually taking place in those countries, because chances are they're going to use certain tactics from Austria, certain tactics from Australia, tactics from Canada, Germany. When the show arrives in the UK, we're probably going to get full spectrum.
Yeah, so it sort of gives us a unique position of they've had their chance to perfect it and hone it before it comes to us. But
Yeah.
if we're observant, we actually have the foresight of being able to witness each and every different aspect that's been trialed around the world before it comes to us. So we do have more foreknowledge.
Yeah.
It's quite a
But
unique position. It's like we're being Switzerland for once.
Yeah. But this is probably where the internet outage or shutdown will probably kick in at some point, because communication will be a major advantage both ways.
Sure.
And this is probably where this Polygon thing will come into play, or there'll be some kind of terrorist attack with regards to the communication infrastructure.
And you think that when the infrastructure is down, that would be the best time for them to be rolling out martial law, or the actual Soviet Union, where there are stormtroopers on the street with needles in their hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's going to happen.
Yeah, but if this all falls to pieces, it could fall to pieces next week, way before they get a chance. But what people have got to realise, there's lots of changes taking place, even with the military. I don't know if you saw, I sent a message in the private chat. Even the Royal Marines are going to be called Rangers.
That's interesting.
And I believe that starts in a month's time. It's all in the pipeline.
The Marines are actually, they're the foot soldiers of the Army of the Royal Navy, which is something not everyone really sort of knows that. They are aquatic soldiers or semi-aquatic soldiers. I live in a Marines town. My dad is an ex-commando. So when I hear that they're being changed to Rangers, what that says to me is extra planes of battlefield, and I instantly think about cyber warfare, asymmetrical warfare, rather than landing craft coming out of aircraft carriers and frigates and landing on beaches. I grew up next to the Marine camp just down the road with all the, the landing craft that literally land on beaches and they all run out of it, just like in World War II. They look a bit different now, but that kind of warfare is not the kind of warfare we have to worry about anymore.
Well, I think it also incorporates technology with regards to weaponry, but the land that will be occupied remains the same, because that gives kind of a full control of the Silk Route from China. So I think we're heading towards a kind of new type of war with regards to the Chinese taking bases or creating bases and buying up infrastructure or lending money to certain countries for the infrastructure and then claiming it when they can't pay it back.
All those explosions that happened last year
Yep.
in the East, set generally in the East, in the Far East and the Middle East, in China and the
Yep.
Middle East. There was never any official explanation for those explosions, was there? Really? That
No.
came out.
Coincidence.
I didn't. Well, yeah, coincidence. Massive explosions, mostly at chemical factories and stuff. I found out from various researchers that recently in China, like in the last month, there was a 2-week period where there was like over a dozen huge explosions in China, like gas explosions under the street where the whole street blows up, like hundreds of people dead, and they all happened within a week, all over different cities in China. To me, that sounds like asymmetrical warfare.
Yeah, well, like I say, this is something we need to be aware of, that there's lots of changes taking place, and it's all connected to the UN, and creating like a one world military force. Because remember,
Absolutely.
and I did say this before, that up until this point in history, warfare has always taken place between two warring nations, or two opposing leaders or dictators or whatever, regimes. This is possibly the first time in history, or known history, that the war has been against a government against the people. And that changes everything. And the reason why it changes everything is because there is nobody coming to rescue us. There is no
Yeah.
country right now that we can call upon for help, or we can't become refugees to another country.
Gosh. Wow, that was a loud gosh. Yeah, we don't have an Israel.
Yeah, I mean, I always get asked, where do I plan to go in the world to escape what's coming? Well, where can you go? I've done some research. I've looked into it. I mean, yeah, there's other countries that have relative normality, but they're still under the control and on the spectrum for this agenda.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me 5 years ago where I was going to escape to, it was always Southeast Asia. I'll go up north into the mountains and the hills, find some little village, live near there. I'll speak the language, I'll be fine. As soon as this happens, the whole of Southeast Asia just closed the borders. My friends that lived in Thailand were stuck here for like almost a whole year, and even when they went back, double Britney'd, they had to spend 3 weeks in a quarantine hotel at their own expense, getting swabbed every day, wearing masks inside their own hotel rooms that were checked on once an hour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've sort of kissed that area of the world goodbye, unfortunately.
Yeah. So this, what we're witnessing, is it creates a whole new paradigm of what can we do? You know, what are the solutions? Historically, under normal types of warfare, there would always be the enemy, and there would be allies, and there would be vested interests. But for the most part, in my opinion, even historically, they've always been on the same side. This one world order, I don't think it's a particularly new thing. You know, even if you just look at World War II, you know, who funded it? What was the real meaning behind it? And is it a coincidence that a lot of the stuff is taking place in Germany, and then you've got Austria?
Yeah, it's literally like, I don't know, the first country was Austria, apparently. But from what I know, Slovenia went first. But after Austria, yeah, Germany, then Italy are talking about it. It's almost like they were crossing off the countries that Hitler had invaded. Apart from the only difference this time is, I don't know if Poland and those countries are, well, I guess if Slovenia is, maybe they're playing along as well. But yeah, history is cyclical, for sure. There's nothing new under the sun. This is all a cycle, and it's probably being manipulated to be so as well.
Yeah, and I think the revelation of World War II, or
Sorry, I missed what you said there. You said the revelation of World War II. Oh, I think he's got bad signal. Shit. Let me beat Master Lee back out and get back in. Whenever we start to talk about anything good, he gets bad signal. In the Guardians?
Lansing.
No, he's back. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, right, you're back to green again, though. Oh, no, it's red. Funny you're talking about World War II. The first guest we've got on in 2022 is John Hamer, who's a guy who's written 7 books, I believe, about hidden history, misrepresented history, and he's going to do a whole presentation for us about the Second World War and what really happens. And spoke to the guy on the phone. He already was saying stuff. I was like, mate, we can't say that. We have to occult that. So I'm going to have some meetings with him first to try and occult what he's going to say so we can get away with it and not get a knock at the door.
Yeah. So, with regards to what's coming, or this new type of warfare against the people, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, it's going to boil down to the individual, to the person, to you.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the real war, and it's a war ultimately for your eternal soul.
There's a war going on for our minds, for our attention, for our lives, and it keeps going on because we remain blind. The system is shoveling shit in our eyes. A whole verse about this. The human mind is the battlefield of this war, and the prizes are our soul or our essence.
Yeah, the inner terrain.
Yeah, and
Let's
as every
face it,
day
they own.
passes, go on.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, the outer terrain's already been conquered. There is no known landmass that you can actually kind of say is unfound or not owned by somebody somewhere. And I say the known landmass.
Yeah,
That doesn't account for anything that's not known to the common person.
extra crateral areas.
Yeah.
You made me write down something earlier in the week about India and circus. Does that make any sense? Circuses. I've got a note. Lee, India, circuses. This is
Oh,
from
I
the
think
other
that's from
day.
last Friday.
Did
It's
you
from last
cover
Friday.
that? Oh, right, okay. Sorry, let me just check my notes on my shiny new tablet midweek. So, Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that?
Not on the BBC, no.
No, I mean, all I've seen about it is what is this? Even just this simple retweet of this, it got fact checked on the first day of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. The judge gave to me. The CEO of Twitter resigns. Walmart, CNBC. I saw some other list that was much longer than this.
Yeah.
I was chatting online to someone about this. You remember in 2019, I think it's Marvin. We're saying 2019, that big list of the 5,000 or 8,000 CEOs that had all resigned all in 6 months. And everyone's like, oh, you know, they're all pedos. They know what's coming because of Q and Trump. Bullshit. Blatantly, they got the memo from Lord Schwab that the Greater Reset was coming.
Reset. Yeah, I think they cashed in their chips.
Yeah, they cashed in. They could have done another 10 years at $500,000 a year plus all the bonuses and all the extras. They could have done that, but probably best to did all the books a little bit before you go and just clear off. You don't want to be around when we roll this out. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, and the same goes for the media. Because, and I've always thought this, right? When everything went digital, and I mean, look, who buys a newspaper? So they're obviously not making money from selling newspapers. So where are they getting their money from? Now, I always figured that they must have went bankrupt probably 20 years ago. Now, if they went bankrupt, how are they still in business? Well, they obviously got brought out, and this was how the media is now controlled. Because even 20 years ago, you'd have like real journalism or investigations or rogue media that could tell you something that you wouldn't see on the mainstream. Now,
because it was competitive. It was money driven, so you had to have the latest scoop to sell the paper to get that front page.
Yeah. Now, once again, what killed it? It was the digital age.
Maybe that's why Robert Maxwell like pretended to top himself on that yacht just before like the internet kicked off. It's like, oh, the newspaper game's finished. I'll just pretend to die.
Yeah.
Imagine how easy it is to pretend to fall off a yacht in the metaverse. Oh, I was water skiing in the metaverse. Yeah, he sadly died in a water skiing accident in the metaverse. Come to his funeral.
Virtual.
Yeah, but why did I bring this up about Ghislaine Maxwell? So, yeah, okay, let's be real. It's a federal trial, so that's the reason there aren't cameras in the courtroom. 'Cause remember O.J. Simpson's trial? It was like a live movie being filmed in real time. Well, what about Kyle Rittenhouse's trial? Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, they had cameras in there. There's him crying, and there's loads of cameras. All you get for this is someone tweeting about it, and there's a couple of shitty artist pictures. There's not even anything about it in the news.
Yeah, it's more news about Jimmy Savile.
Yeah. And I noticed there how you said Jimmy Savile. You didn't say Steve Coogan. You noticed that? Just going to shut the door.
The spirit of Jimmy Savile, the entity.
The entity, yeah, the essence of Savile.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein is on the table at the moment.
No.
Probably part of the same entity.
Well, I always said, like, when Epstein happened, because before the Soviet Union happened, I was starting to talk about this stuff. And another thing that got me noticed in the eyes of many people is that I called the fact that Epstein was going to suicide himself as soon as he arrested, when many people had no idea who he was, because I had a very good idea who he was way before he got arrested, way before Q started talking about him as well, and I got caught up in that whatever it was. I said, yeah, as soon as he arrested, right, I was like, that guy won't live the weekend. And then that happened, and everyone was like, well, who is he? And I said, well, the best way to explain who Epstein or Cornerstone was, he was the American version of Jimmy Savile. He had the US franchise of.
He was big into technology.
Yeah, big into AI, big into gene editing. Well, he had his own farm of these women breeding his Epstein super children. That was in the mainstream.
And he wanted to manifest via augmented reality his deepest, darkest fantasies. So you can just imagine what has been uploaded already onto the metaverse.
Well, just imagine who's going to be waiting in the metaverse for us.
Yeah, imagine the green room of the metaverse. You'll have Savile, Epstein.
Francis Leader says, stop talking about the nasties. Talking about the nasties is not a solution. Do you know what? That's true. The reason I brought this up, and I'll just finish off on this subject, notice the difference in the way that this trial is portrayed compared to a trial that they want you to see, want you to have the interviews about, want you to pull on all the heartstrings, all the emotions. Just think about the difference of a trial that they don't want you to see, that's not being used for energy harvesting. Think about it. What a great opportunity to harvest everyone's energy, negative energy, by bringing up all of the details about what Epstein did. Oh, unless it's not advantageous to bring up the details of what he did.
Yeah, and I think the reckoning will be quite revealing with regards to what they actually bring up or play down.
Should I apologise for saying that I'm really looking forward to watching it?
Yeah.
For my own reasons, I just have to see what they fucking put in that.
Well, I'm sitting on the fence. I don't know if you mentioned it. I said, well, somebody said about fence sitting, and I said, there's a sense sitting. This kind of brings us back to solutions and what's taking place right now, because people are no longer sitting on the fence, they're sitting on the sense. And this weekend has been quite a revelation with regards to people getting off of the fence and seeing sense, or starting to use their common sense. It's almost like they're coming out of the hypnosis or the spell. The spell has kind of faded.
This is why I said the Omicron is the best variant ever, because nothing so far has broken the spell for so many people as Omicron. So we've got to use it as much as we can to
Yeah,
our best advantage.
yeah, and you asked the question earlier about, why has it become so ridiculous? Well, the other thing you've got to factor in, and I did mention this on Friday, that you're going to see the mystery schools enter the arena. So who's to say that some of the things that are going to come through? Now, when I talk about mystery schools, I'm not talking about a group of 8 people in a village somewhere. No, the mystery schools are embedded into all of the control structures. Now, whether they have the left or the right or the light or the dark, that's not the point. The point is that the mystery schools, the occult groups, are embedded and are involved at high level decision making.
So are you insinuating that there are grey and light occultists that are embedded in the same institutions and infrastructures that the cult members that we allude to are in?
Yes, and this is where you get the clown world aspect.
Oh wow! Okay, let's go further into this, because this is something I've thought about very deeply. All right, when we talk about this concept of the greatest apocalypse ever, and how maybe what's happening now is completely necessary, and it's actually a very natural function in this realm, in this soul harvest. When I look at this at the highest level, I do wonder if at the highest level what is overseeing the duality of the Hegelian dialect of will it go this way, will it go that way, it's completely neutral and grey. It's not light or dark, because at the highest level of existence, if you understand the law of one and the Ra channelings, as I hopefully potentially do, either outcome is equally important, no matter what happens.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, so, there are clearly dark occultists who are trying to harness the denying force for their own means, whether it's greed, sycophancy, a sick cultish behaviour, or they are actually practitioners of the law of one and they think they are adding catalyst to the great harvest for this negative harvesting. At the highest level, I think it's neutral. I really do.
Well, we've got to zoom out and look at it from a cosmic perspective. Now, we kind of agree, or everybody agrees, that there's some kind of spiritual war taking place, an invisible war,
Yeah.
about this realm, for this realm, and other realms or dimensions. So we can't really say, well, look, it's just us lot versus some dark occultists that have got control, because that's not really a war, is it? I mean, they pretty much control this realm on a physical 3D level.
Through their
Like I
projection
said,
as well into the
yeah,
minds of the NPC.
well, if they really wanted to, they could just kill us. Now, this takes us back to the first principle. Who is creating your reality? And when I say you, I mean like our reality as a collective. Well, that's a real profound question that everybody needs to ask themselves. Now, if you're not creating your own reality, then who is? Now, I think it's safe to say that for the most part, the reality is being created by the denying force or the men in dark suits or whatever term you want to give them. Now, you spoke about the law of one and Ra. Well, you can even talk about it from a Christian perspective, because Christians say that man is made in the image of God. God is a creator. That means that we have the creative potential. Now, what I would say is that we can create, we can co-create. It's just that we haven't been taught and told how to, because of those who have taken short-term control under, say, the demiurge of sorts, have taken that facility away from us. Now, the greatest apocalypse ever, if it's done correctly, should reveal that everybody has the capability of co-creating, and you can
Mm.
return back to creating our reality for
Yeah.
human beings in balance with nature, and cosmic and universal law. And this is what the revelation is all about, is who is creating reality. And this is a creator realm, the cosmic ray of creation. Everything is about creation. Now, taking it a step further in terms of us being multi or interdimensional beings, that means that we not only live in different dimensions simultaneously, we can actually travel to different dimensions. And if I'll use the term magic, because all magic is a way of manifesting an idea, a will. And it's fair to say that they are using magic against us to create their will, their prison, their control, their nepotism, so on and so forth. Okay, now to counterbalance that, or to bring an awakening for our creative capabilities, we need to go through this lesson. We need to go through this process where we can almost we can see that they're using it. And I think this is part of the revelation, and this is why it has to be a little bit stupid for the sleeping people to actually see it. For the most part,
Yeah.
it has to become obvious, and I think this last variant that they brought out was a good example of that.
The I was trying to think of another anagram. I didn't have enough letters, but I wanted to get like normie-con. Like the only people that would be conned by this variant are total normies, but I think there's an N or an M missing. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
This greatest apocalypse is a machine to create conscious shock. I was just about to write this note, something you said a minute ago, right? About being a co-creator. Someone years ago said to me before all this happened, when I was still well into this stuff. So if you had to explain it in a few sentences, like what is the crux of like the conspiracy of what's going on? What are they trying to do? So I said at the bottom line, these agents of the denying force, these dark elites, the conspiracy is to convince us that we are the meat sack, that we are just the inconsequential physical organic meat sack, that we
yeah,
are not a spark of the infinite creator having an experience within a meat sleeve that is potentially some sort of holographic projection as well, but that's a whole different story. But we are
yeah,
not the meat sack. We are not the vehicle. We are the driver. We're not the computer. We're the operator.
yeah.
And that
Well,
comes back to like, go on.
I'll give you a glimpse into certain occult groups' minds with regards to the structure of reality. Now, I'm not going to go into like specifics as in how many dimensions and so on and so forth. Some will claim that there's 365 dimensions on the spectrum of the ray of creation. Um, Unfortunately, we're right at the bottom in this dimension.
Wow.
Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because you got to put relativity to it. So, as an example, at least we're not worms or a slug. So we're kind of more advanced from that. But if you used to take into account, let's just use this 365 dimensions, and we're near the bottom. Now we think that we're pretty cool, pretty great creatures. So if you can imagine what creatures on higher dimensions would actually be like, to me that gives optimism, that gives hope, and it gives a purpose for the development of a soul. Because remember, the development of a soul is only really to get you into the next dimension or higher dimensions or closer to the one, the source, the Godhead, whatever descriptive you want to give.
Hmm.
And the other important thing that you have to factor in now, I'm going to be very generic about this because I don't want to get into specifics because each group has a slight different take on it. Like each religion has slightly different takes on things. I'm just going to try and paint a picture. So if you imagine there's 365 dimensions and we're somewhere near the bottom, each dimension will have a deity or a boss of each realm. But what you've got to factor in is that they're not fully developed. They're still growing. So you've got the population of souls that are that are developing souls.
Master Lee, are you still there? Look, once again, just as he's literally about to drop whole rabbit atomic bombs, the signal goes shit and we lose him. That always goes down. All right, I'll tell you what, while we're waiting for Master Lee to appear like the Candyman once again, I'm just going to talk about some Rise Above merch, because this Friday, all of the T-shirt designs go live on riseabove.news/shop. Right now, you can order hoodies on PayPal, riseabovelivestream@gmail.com, £45 including postage and packing, and that is first class, signed there the next day. We've also got the rabbit hoodies and everything exempt, which is available right now, £25 plus postage and packing. Master Lee, are you back?
10 seconds.
Yeah, I got booted again.
Yeah, it
Right.
went red. It's all about signal. You were talking about the last word you said was souls.
Yeah, so if you've got a dimension with 8 billion or 6,000 souls in it, they're in a process of developing the soul. It's all about growth. Equally, the deity of that realm, or the boss of that realm or dimension, is developing, because they're not perfect. And this would explain why things are not perfect here. And where religious people kind of get confused, because they say God is perfect, but at the same time, we can see that things are not perfect. There's so much suffering in this dimension. Well, that's because the demiurge, the controller, or the boss of this realm, isn't perfect. And cannot be perfect, because they're developing the same way that we're trying to develop, and our development is their development. So, as say a collective to another dimension, potentially that lower Godhead has the potential to go to the next dimension or not.
Do you think that the demiurge, as described by the Gnostics in the Nag Hammadi text, is likely to be the same deity described in the Old Testament, i.e. Yahweh? In your opinion?
Potentially, yes. I like I say, I try to avoid specifics. It's kind of above my pay grade. That's how I view it. I tend to zoom in or zoom down with things like that. So I tend to look at how are things directly around me. I use direct realism. So there's some things that I don't know. There's some things that I could possibly never know. I mean, some people say you heard of Abraxas?
Abraxas, yes, I have.
Abraxas, yeah. So some people say Abraxas is at the top. I try to avoid all of that, because what ends up happening is each group will end up fighting, because one will say it's Jehovah, the other person will say it's Abraxas, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, they're just names. To me, it's more about the energetics. I try to avoid too much conceptualizing when it comes to that scale.
Or rather, as to who's who sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it was described to me as it would be like the bacteria in a cow's stomach fighting and arguing over something that takes place in the farmer's office.
Or what the farmer calls the cow, whether it's a Frisian blue or something totally irrelevant, basically.
Well, the bacteria in a cow's stomach will have absolutely no idea of what takes place in the farmer's office. So for them to be arguing and fighting, it's just like playing ping pong in the dark with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
So if I was to dedicate my whole life to trying to tell you or anybody what the deity of this realm or other realms, bearing in mind there could be 365 of them, I would either have to make stuff up or lie or pretend that I know something. And unfortunately, this is what happens with a lot of religions or doctrines.
Yeah, but they've
And
got
I
to
think,
pad it out somehow, haven't they?
yeah, and I think this is a mistake. I think you have to kind of use direct realism. So as above, so below. So kind of, if I want to know what the god of this realm could be like, I would probably look at what is my boss like at work.
I
there's
was
probably
about to
some
say below. Yeah,
similarities.
of course.
Yeah, it's just relativity. You just expand it out, you zoom out, and it's probably the same or similar structure. Now, going back to what we're saying about co-creating, being a co-creator, uh, it, we're multi or interdimensional beings. So that's the first thing, and that we do have capabilities, and we have um, qualities like focus, intent, will, visualization, imagination. And these are the things that we need to bring back and put on the table and start using. And these are the very things that the Soviet Union do not want everybody to have, because they want to make everybody into a machine, an automaton, soulless.
Yeah. So it's our job to be as animated, as inventive, as creative, as human as possible in the face of that.
Yeah, and this is where maybe I'm trying to think now, maybe 80 years ago, this whole thing about the law of attraction was interjected into the kind of the sort of aware people or those seeking the truth. And I said in 2019 on a video that that is a major corruption, because they're not telling you the whole story. They're telling you half the story.
Mm.
Yeah, if you want something, you got to wish for it. But there's more to it than that. It requires work, and it requires consistent work. All you're doing is getting your software to match the hardware. Now, you can't just say, look, I want a new car, and then wait for it to appear. It doesn't work.
Sure.
Same way if you
There
want
are
to,
prerequisites, right?
yeah, so there has to be action, and this is the bit they don't tell you about. So you have to apply the same action that somebody that doesn't know anything about this would do to get a new car or make more money at work. But what you do is you just align your software by using focus, intent, visualization, imagination, plus action. You have to give birth to it. Then things like coincidences, um, things become syncretized, or synchronicity. These magical qualities, including magnetism, start to appear. But everybody has to develop focus, intention, will, visualization, imagination. And this could mean waking up early, waking up at 5 in the morning or whenever sunrise is. Simply, I'll just give you an example, right? This might sound completely crazy, but simple exercise. So you stand at sunrise, you set an intention, you make a wish, you point your finger to the east, point your finger to the north, point your finger to the west, point your finger to the south, create a seal, point your finger up, see the light coming down, point your finger to the ground, you create a sphere with your intention. Now, the reason why you might want to do it, either at sunrise or certain moon times, or sunset or whatever, yeah, is because there's certain chemicals that are in the atmosphere that are more productive towards creation. And this is why the powers that shouldn't be will do their press conferences on a certain day, certain date of the month, and a certain time,
Yeah.
wearing certain colors, because they're actually tuning in to the unseen dust particles that are emanating from different planetary bodies.
That's why they're easy to predict. If you know that, like, that's why, like, I was able to make those predictions about lockdown, like 2 lockdowns in a row, like to the day. It's just
Yeah,
obvious if you know these things. It's no crystal ball is needed.
yeah,
They're very formulaic. They very they form patterns, and they obviously can't create naturally. So to enact their plan, they have to harness these cycles of natural energies. So yeah.
yeah. So that exercise I just gave, I mean, I'm not telling people to do that, but it's just an example. Now, whoever taught you to do that? Did they teach you that at school? No. what they teach at school is to get qualifications to work hard, to be a good employee, try and earn as much money, and then you use the monetary system to obtain things. Well, the esoteric and the occult, or the mystery schools, they will use exercise like that. It doesn't mean say they don't work. It just means that they've got the software attuned or aligned with their actions and the cosmos, because they're taking benefits. This is a realm, a creative realm. It's just that we haven't got. It's almost like saying to an artist, sit in this room and paint a picture, yeah, and they don't know what paint is, they don't know what a brush is, so on and so forth. You need tools to paint or to create a work of art.
Yeah. And you also need to observe. You need to spend a great deal of time first observing before you begin to paint or even draw or even sketch. And
Now, if you want solutions, which we all want, I would say, right, very not easy, but the first line of solutions is what you can do. Stop looking for somebody else to come to the rescue or to bail us out. We've got to start developing these qualities that are natural to us, because of what the powers that shouldn't be and the dark suit occultists, they're using our creative power. How do you think they managed to manifest this new norm over the last 2 years? It's because they've got us to project it. And why are people projecting it? Because they don't understand the mechanisms and they don't know how to project a counter. Well, what I'm suggesting is, once the knowledge, or just a basic knowledge that you are a co-creator, is the cosmos and natural things, like we all know what focus is, we all know what intent is, we all know what observation is. We just need to start working on that. So I would recommend people start to observe things, to set in small intentions, meditation, to be self-aware, to sense your feet when you're walking down the street. The next time somebody asks you about your mask or lack of mask, sense your feet while you're communicating with them. All these little things may sound insignificant, but what they'll do is they'll enable your higher senses to be stimulated, and then you'll start to experience manifestation of magnetism and the ability to create your reality. And then if everybody's doing that, guess what? We
your
project a different
reality is
reality.
created. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I can be a testament to these methods and techniques that Master Lee just talked about. They 100% work. I can tell you that categorically.
Yeah.
They 100% work.
And some will be instant, and some will take just as long as it would if you just did it physically, and everything in between. What I'm saying is that don't be fooled by these law of attraction techniques where they say that you just got to think of something or imagine something and it will just appear. That's a bit of a trick, and that was inserted by the dark suit occultists for a purpose, to mislead people.
Classic infiltration there.
Yeah. So, real occultists, they work just as hard as anybody else. It's just that they get better results because, like I said, about the software. And when I say software, I'm talking about things like focus, intent, imagination, visualization. If you actually ask most people what is their visualization power, they probably don't understand what you're talking about. If you ask a musician or artist, they might have a better idea, but your average person wouldn't really have any idea of the power of visualization. And I'll tell you why that is because, once again, technology has hijacked that, starting with the television.
Yeah. Visualizing things for us so you become a passive observer rather than a co-creator. Essentially,
Exactly.
that's what the television does. It severs the need for the imaginative mind to work by presenting you with not just a story, it's a whole set of pre-programmed emotions. You know, I studied cinematography at university in my media studies course, and you know, like Hitchcock, and you know how he used to boast that, you know, he could literally play people's emotions like a fiddle. I press this button, they go ooh. I press this button, they go ah. Just by showing things on a screen and some, and you know, it was more of what he didn't show in his horror films and his thrillers. And yeah, it's really interesting. You know, what if you think about it, how unnatural sitting in front of a box with moving pictures, showing you depictions of real life, and you watching it. And let's face it, the best way to watch a movie is to get immersed in it and to forget that you're watching the movie, and to, for a moment, think that it's really happening. That's when you really enjoy a movie, right?
Yeah, and that's actually a perversion of our natural software. You know, it's called programming, and a good thing for people to do. Maybe not this time of year, but maybe when it's a bit warmer. You know, go camping, go out into nature. Um, I haven't owned a television for many years, probably nearly 20 years now, and it's one of the best things I ever did. It actually it gives you kind of different senses. Now, if you go out into nature, go camping at night time, if you're in, say, the woods or a forest or something like that, your visualization, your creativity, your imagination will start to almost blow up, and you'll start to see things. You'll start to, and I'm not talking about taking hallucinogens. This is just naturally. And I believe that this is where a lot of these folklore stories came from, because years ago, they didn't have the television. They would probably sit in the woods or walk through the woods, and trees or things will start talking to them.
I've been present when many,
Imagination.
yeah, and you think that more TV use takes away the imagination.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've been around many people when they've taken entheogens or hallucinogenic substances, and the response that you can get from exactly the same dose in someone that's never taken something before, roughly the same size, is massive. And I always noticed that people who tended to be a little bit more, how shall I say, materialistic, normie-ish, not open to anything to do with the soul, spiritual connections, etc. Someone that watched a lot of TV, read a lot of newspapers, they could take a dose of, say, mushrooms or lysergic acid or whatever, and the result that they would get would be fractional compared to someone that was, say, artistic, didn't spend a lot of time consuming mainstream media, was interested in, you know, spirituality, whatever. Those people would tend to have some sort of life-changing, magical, ego-dissolving experience where, you know, they went back to a childlike state, learned something about themselves, had a real, you know, real mystical, one of those ones. Generally, the other group of people that I've described, they were unable to have those, in many cases, or without a lot of work.
Well,
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion almost, with different ceremonies with mushrooms and stuff like that for some people.
yeah, and I would say that this is part of the war that's taking place. It's a war against our ability to visualize and imagine, and ultimately to co-create. Our creative capacity has been hijacked, and this is exactly why they need us to build, a bit like what's it called, Minecraft, to build something, a landscape, a structure, a reality. They need our creative capabilities. So what the objective is that we do the work for them. We project, we build, and they get to benefit from it. It's as simple as that. Now,
Yeah.
somebody asked about depopulation. What was my take on the depopulation?
Or was that in the comment section?
Yeah, it's gone now, but
Yeah, we've got 340 people tuned in. The comments, just flowing up. It's something we've talked about for the last couple of shows in a row. I think, about are they just culling people? Are they going for the strong? At first we thought it was to get rid of old people, but at the moment it seems like young and healthy people are being culled.
Yeah.
What's this question we've got here? Please ask Inner Guardians, which world does the occult want to get rid of? Is it the majority speared world in the West or the non-speared world, such as Africa? What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've been given quite a lot of thought to over the last few years.
Hello, Inner Guardians. Oh, look at that. It's just as he starts to try and answer a question. Every time. He'll come back in a couple of seconds. I'll try and answer it a little bit first. I've wondered this. Who would they want to get rid of? From an economic point of view, it'd be better to get rid of people in the developed world, because people in the developing world will be much more easy to manipulate because they're not in a state of financial comfort, I guess. You know, the dark occult and the world elite generally go for the most vulnerable people first. But this time it seems like it's the other way round. They're trying to get rid of the people that are self-sufficient, living in the West, living in affluence, you know, not sort of already in their globalist yoke. You know, their countries are getting supported by the UN or by NATO, etc. And the Guardians is back. Lee, are you back with us?
Yep, I'm back. I seem to
back.
get booted just at the wrong moment.
Yeah, at the opportune moment, yeah. So I had a
Yeah.
go answering that question, but I'll hand back over to you, mate.
Right, yeah. What I'm saying is, with regarding depopulation, I don't think depopulation is necessarily the end. I think it's a consequence, a greater goal that they have, and there's a number of things that it could allude towards, and one of them could be that it's just the harvesting of energy, because something somewhere has to be fed. It could also be that they're trying to create soulless humans, not human beings, so that other entities can inhabit this realm. It could also be that, to a degree, there are lower dimensions that want to hijack those bodies, and by creating soulless humans, it gives them the ability to be born into this realm as some form of transcendence for them. But I don't think depopulation is necessarily the objective.
No, I think
it's
it's more of a
consequence.
harvest.
Yeah, I mean, look, on sort of surface level, you could say, yeah, it's a harvest of essence, soul, spirit. You could also say that it's economical. That you could also say there's too many kind of feeders. But I think from a cosmic perspective, I don't actually think it's the objective. I think it's a consequence of greater objectives.
As in the dark occultist agents of the denying force that are enacting this, they're a symptom of something greater.
Yes,
A greater
of course,
mechanism.
Yeah, of course, yeah. There's that.
They're not in charge. They're part of this as well. They're in this realm with us as well.
Well, I think what their objective is, I think they don't realise the consequences of it. So, as an example, personally, I think their objective is to create machines that are devoid of a soul. Part of that means that they can own you as a machine, as opposed to a sovereign human being, which they can't own. They can kind of own things around you, but they can't actually own yourself. I also think that you've got like a cosmic stock market where souls, bodies, meat suits are sold and traded. So
Yeah,
what I
because
mean
I
by
think this is
that
quite
is,
a valuable experience. This meat suit farm or this meat suit experience here. I think it might be quite sought after cosmically. I get that
yes,
feeling. It's
yes,
very it's like it's sort of like the greatest like adventure park in the outer realm, in the greater multiverse. It's a very special one. Everyone wants to come and have a meat suit here.
yeah, and this kind of leads me nicely to the next video I'm going to be doing on Inner Guardians is actually called the Faustian Bargain versus the Power of No. And for those who are not aware, there's a few general terms: Faustian Bargain, the Faustian Pact. In a nutshell, it basically means when you do a deal without consideration for the long-term consequences. And in this story, it basically meant somebody wanted power, wealth, and all the riches of this realm, but what they didn't realize is that the devil would keep their soul for eternity. Now,
Classic switcheroo.
yeah. Now, the reason why I'm working on this at the moment is because this is what I see happening, that people are just not reading the small print in the contracts.
Yes.
Now, so they are going to the Britney Spears concert thinking that it's going to make them not necessarily wealthy, but it means that they can keep the wealth they've got. It means they can keep the job they've got. They can keep whatever status quo, or they can get one up on the next person. I don't believe for 1 minute that all these people are doing the Britney Spears concert for the greater good of everybody else. I think for the most part, it's a very selfish motivation, and it's self-preservation and service to self, which to me is a form of Satanism. Now, and I'll give you an example of that. These people that say, well, look, I've been to the concert to save you and to save somebody else, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's do a test on them. When it's raining, give them an umbrella and see if they give that umbrella to somebody else. I bet you they don't.
Interesting. Yeah, I bet they don't go around holding out umbrellas and giving them to other people to keep them dry.
Yeah. They're the sort of people that will take an umbrella and they'll use it for themselves. I'm not talking about every single person. You're going to get people that obviously are not motivated in that way. But what we're witnessing, to me, this is a manifestation of service to self. The mere fact that somebody's prepared to take something that they kind of know is maybe not right, and they're definitely not reading the small print or the back of the ticket or the program at the concert, and they're prepared to sacrifice because let's say that it does detach your soul from your body for eternity, and that you lose your opportunity to transcend up through 365 dimensions, just so they can go on holiday, just so they can go to Marks and Spencer's, Sainsbury's, whatever. Yeah, how foolish is that?
God. It's literally the most tragic thing in the known cosmos.
Yeah,
You traded your eternal essence for a cheap skin in a computer game.
yeah. And the only way this could have ever been pulled off is the dark occultists in suits were able to convince people that they had no eternal soul.
Fucking hell, I've just thought of what this is. This is like playing an online computer game like Grand Theft Auto or Far Cry, and you go to a trader in a computer game and someone convinces you like to sell them your actual physical Xbox console, some NPC in a computer game to get a skin or a new rifle, and then you're walking around with a rifle, but then before you know it, you don't have an Xbox anymore, and you have to go to your mates. It's literally like, yeah, it's really that magnitude, swapping the actual entire console and the ability to go to the Xbox world for a rifle in one game.
Yeah, and this is the Faustian bargain. Short-term gains for losing your eternal capabilities. And it's kind of heartbreaking to witness when you know this. But I can't see it any other way. Like I say, I don't buy this stuff that people are going to the concert to save anybody else. I think there's a lot of...
They're even going to save themselves. They're not even going to save themselves, I don't think. I haven't really spoken to anyone that's taken it that actually genuinely believes they were taking it for their own health. They always say it was to go on holiday, or I did it to protect someone else, or for my job.
Yeah, and this is what I would describe as Satanism. So the first thing a Satanist has to do is convince you that you have no soul. This is the job of the devil, that you have no eternal soul. Now you'll hear me talk about people. Not everybody has a soul, and that's because I don't think everybody does have a soul. But I think everybody has a soul in potential, because everybody's at different stages of the game. Some people are on their first incarnation in this dimension. Some people are on their last. I've said many times, I would suggest anybody that's tuning into Rise Above is either in their last or getting close to their last incarnation of this realm.
Or they already completed the cycle and chose to come back at this particular time to watch Rise Above. or to host it. We could
Who knows?
postulate. Who knows? So, yeah, eternal occurrence. Nothing ain't new to us. Watch out for that coming in a lyric in a couple of weeks. I've been working on something. I've been trying to only write about what we're doing here on the station and what we talk about, rather than, I only wrote about this kind of stuff anyway. But I'm always trying to take what things that you're bringing to the table and sort of put them into my lyrics to get it out there into the ether, or to try and do my bit anyway.
Well, I think as time goes on, we're just going to see confirmation after confirmation. It in many different ways, from even from the mainstream. There's going to be confirmations that, we're already witnessing it. Like the things that we think, the things that we talk about, the things we postulate about, or they, we want to be wrong most of the time, but we keep being right.
Yeah. Praise be to
Now,
Ronald McDonald.
I also think, so the things I talk about, I'm not the only person talking about these things. You're going to see all kinds of people in all different walks of life talking about the very same things, maybe using slightly different words or terminology, but it all comes back to the same thing. The capability of co-creating a reality that is ascending and not horizontal.
Yeah.
Let's face it,
what it's
even
all
the
about.
Buddhists talk about the revolving cycle and the escaping the cycle of rebirth. There's nothing really new under the sun.
Absolutely not.
And also things from...
carry on.
Yeah, also things from even, the Bible. I call it a blueprint and plan rather than a prophecy. There's lots of stuff in the Bible that I find very useful.
Sure. Well, it's the book that I can't believe it. I'm actually quoting Alan Partridge here. He said something like, "It's the book that our Western civilization has been based on for like 2,000 years. Might be a good idea to have a rudimentary understanding of it."
Yeah.
Oh dear. Steve. We've got to wrap it up soon, because I said we do 2 hours and we've almost done 2.5, and it's Wednesday night. We've got 350 people tuned in on a Wednesday night. That 250 used to be a Fat Friday. So guys, there is no show this Friday night because I've got to go and earn some crypto shekels to survive in the crater. Next Friday, is the final show of 2021 before I go to Mexico for a spiritual pilgrimage with my wife. We will be inviting the Esoteric Knight of Malta to come and do a presentation, which I'm really looking forward to. I won't ruin it, and it'll be a good show. It's going to be the final one of the year before we return in 2022. Have you got any final thoughts or anything you haven't mentioned that you want to bring up quickly in the Guardians? Because we've got to wrap it up.
Yeah, I could keep talking about the subjects that we've been talking about, but in a nutshell, this is it. There's nobody coming. You're gonna have to face your own demons. The war is against us, and it's not just a physical thing. It's more the metaphysical. It's more the spiritual. It's more the mental, emotional, and this is where the war is taking place, and this is where we can win relatively easily.
Well, from where I'm sitting, it looks like we're already winning, to be honest. Although the victory is starting to create ripples. The mental victory that's happening inside people's heads because they've completely rejected the fucking Soviet Union and they will never accept anything from it. So we're actually back on Wednesday night. Go on.
Yeah, let me just one last thing. You've got to ask yourself the question: is this has been going? Well, this particular thing or phase has been going on for 2 years. Let's face it. How far have they really got? I mean, yeah, they've got to the point of the concert, but I think they're not up to where they think they should be.
Well, look how hard they're trying. Look how much money they're spending on trying to get people to go to the concert. Hundreds of millions, billions, just in this country.
Trillions.
Trillions is being spent by the Soviet Union, being pissed up against the wall trying to get people to go to the Britney Spears concert. How pathetic. It's not going to work. So yeah, I'm going to get shouted at in a minute. Right, we'll be back on Wednesday night for more midweek chat with myself and Inner Guardians. Don't forget, from Friday night, you can buy all the T-shirts on the website, www.riseabove.news. If you want to buy a hoodie or a T-shirt at the moment, the limited designs, PayPal, riseabovelivestream@gmail.com with your address, your size, and you can email me first if you're unsure about it. So yeah, we'll see you next week on Wednesday, and then we'll have the big show on Friday night as well. So everyone, rise above.
Rise above.
We'll end with the original Rise Above tune. Listen to the lyrics this MC don't play.
Generate, rise above, extinguish fear, above, abstract stillness, rise above, domino, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate. Since day one we've been going in militant, not same, also different, abstract stillness, no equivalent, double O's flows omnipotent, make I suggest a lyric proof vest, I got a bar that will tear through a chest, cause a massacre from my caliber, your Kevlar can't protect. Anyway, back to the subject, expose devilish acts to the public, and talk topics they won't publish, instigating cold wars like Sputnik, observe you with a satellite view, heard the cattle these parasites do, worshipping the gods of our conquerors, it's a blinded acolyte view, members of spineless remain reminded, they drink blood and sacrifice you, so misguided, laws are provided, to benefit the chosen few, so we rise above and extinguish fear when we generate love, a single candle lights up the darkness, that is the power we all harness, let's identify targets, light them up, lift them down, carpet beef, sprinkling garnish, the message, word, power, sound, I don't care if my wet gets tarnished, split this shit till I'm dead in the ground, where they pollute your mind with garbage, do one thing, just hold it down. Rise above when we generate, rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate, rise above when we generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate love. Rise above when we generate, rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate, rise above when we generate, rise above and extinguish fear when we generate. It's more than 232s in a hook. You want lyrics? I write books. Where your head double L overtook with a statement you can't overlook, and I drop rhymes you can't unhear. Plot lines never unclear, and I tell them direct to your ear. I doubt the signs that guided us here. And these lies from lost puppeteers who cut through throats like swashbuccaneers. Call to arms, don't volunteer, or take orders from brigadier. From war and carnage they profiteer. The march goes on till we disappear. It's my duty to interfere, smash them system like chandeliers. MCs chat about whips and cars, I rap bars about pyramids on Mars and other weird subjects, hidden for years, locked in casks. Strap a protective mask, inform your collective, war a star. It's a harrowing task and I'm swimming in fears on a narrowing path, I'm powering past. All these bullshit rappers will devour you last, and they're carrying fast. Drop from the top of a towering shaft, push from the ledge of a soaring peak, shoot from the pledge of my war and speak. Close to the edge, the outlook's bleak, frozen breath cause the output's weak. Rise above when we generate, rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate, rise above when we generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate love. Rise above when we generate, rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear when we generate, Rise above when we generate. Rise above and extinguish fear when we generate. Generate.